Dr. Fyneface Dumnamene is the Executive Director at the Advocacy Centre. He joins me now in the studio to discuss this further. Thank you very much for giving us your time. That report clearly states that NNPCL made a mistake with their initial statement. Does it bother you that, or have they made a retraction? Or it's still status quo at the moment? Yeah,
thank you for having me. I think in the first instance, we've not had a retraction from the NNPCL. And their refusal to retract their error in the statement by saying that no one died at the Cawthorne Channel is one of the things we should expect when these multinational oil companies are all gone, when they must have met the requirements for divestments and they have to leave Nigeria. Because we'll be left at the mercy of our indigenous companies, that we may not have a say in what happens. You see, a lot of these indigenous companies, they practice what is even getting to be worse than what we had during the multinational oil companies. And the NNPCL is a practical example of what we are going to have. Remember, Aeroton was operating that facility. They took it over from them, and now they are doing the worse than Aeroton. Remember, there was an OSP on that particular facility that lasted for many months under Aeroton years back. And then even as we speak, before this particular incident at Cawthorne Channel, we also had another one that happened at Bukuma community. I think that fire, that spill is still on now. They have put out the fire, the spill is still on now. And if you look at other parts of the state where this oil company, NNPCL, is taking over, you have a lot of these incidents happening. There are two communities in the Ogoni area I must mention. One is called Busu, one is called Buenle. These two communities, people don't live there anymore as a result of oil spill that occurred from NNPCL subsidiary at the time, you know. So all of this put together, I think NNPCL need to come forward, accept the responsibility of giving, you know, incomplete statement or false statement to the public, and then apologize to members of that community, and then do everything they can to be able to address the issues there.
What do you think is stopping them from acknowledging this? Is it the possibility of penalties, or is it that they're looking for maybe a different argument to put forward? Because if what we see on the ground, as shown in that report, clearly shows damage to the environment and to individual lives.
Exactly. I think what is holding them back from owning up what has happened there is the fear of them accepting responsibility and possibly being sued to court, because they don't want to, you know, get involved in some legal matters. But then there is no option here. If they fail to take responsibility, apologize to the people, engage with the people, and address the issues, then the people may take some actions. But I think they need to just do the needful by accepting responsibility, and then they can move on.
What does this say about the broader conversation around the oil and gas sector in Nigeria?
Yeah, it's very terrible, I must say, because the oil and gas sector in Nigeria since the 1950s, when oil was discovered, has been very devastating. The multinational oil companies that started here, we've seen a lot of environmental pollution that is spreading across the Niger Delta and other areas where oil is being produced. And some of these things are the reason why the people are now talking about the need for us to even be able to benefit from these resources. We're talking about resource control. And then we are talking about divestments, that we should begin to even transition to renewable energy, because the fossil fuel is not helping us. If you get to the Niger Delta, you can see the devastation of this particular incident. And then when you get to other communities in the Niger Delta, you see pollution everywhere. If we don't take time, what is happening in Niger Delta is going to give us a Niger Delta without Niger Delta people someday. Because look at the Ogoni area, where we have the cleanup going on by the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project. You still have little has been done so far since 2016 that they started till now. Nothing has really been achieved. The process is still struggling, and new pollution is being introduced to the environment almost on a weekly basis. What we've been having in the Niger Delta is breaking news of a day or week that passes by without environmental pollution. Otherwise, the pollution there has always been very massive. And I think we need to really see what we can do to not introduce new pollution into the environment, especially as we are trying to carry out cleanup in the area.
The environmental impact you mentioned also has, there are concerns and talked about the likelihood that cancer among children can be traced to these oil spill and the lack of attention to cleaning it up. Is that a valid statement that can be verified? It's
a very valid statement that can be verified. If you look at the UNEP report on Ogoni that was released on August 4, 2011, a lot of these things are mentioned there. Some other publications have also come out to say that even pregnant women that live within meters from the polluted site have deformed babies being given birth to. These reports are available online, people could see. And people that live in this environment are also having a lot of respiratory diseases and illnesses. Remember that the UNEP reports, a verifiable report, the first of its kind in Nigeria and around the world, said that even benzene has polluted underground water, and the water table we have in the Niger Delta or the Ogoni area is the same everywhere. So a lot of diseases come with what is happening in the environment, environmental pollution and what have you. We also talk about suits in River State. At a point, it was very devastating, such that you cannot come and meet anything you keep overnight. So it is very serious, and I think we need to be able to address this. What happened in Cawthorne Channel, you can see the thick smoke that escaped from the explosion.
And it's going to settle somewhere.
It's going to settle
somewhere. What has there been, we know that the federal government oftentimes come out with statements condemning such restriction or perhaps negligence that might have led to such explosion, but has there been any indication that the federal government might work with communities to ensure accountability and some respite for the people?
There is no indication that federal government could work with the communities to ensure that they have respite for some of these things. The reason is very simple. Nigeria is a petrol-based state. It's a fossil fuel country. Everything they do is based on that fossil fuel. So when they contribute to environmental pollution through their joint venture partners, they are very slow in taking action, because if they take any action against those partners, it will affect them. It will affect the flow of the money, and the petrol dollar will no longer be coming in. So they are very mild in the way they handle things. That is why it is difficult for communities who experience things like this to be able to even get justice in Nigeria. They have to go to courts in the countries of origin of those companies before they can have justice. As we speak, Ogale and Bile communities in River State are at the London High Court with Shell as a result of pollution. Even these facilities, a lot of them were being operated by Shell before we talk about the divestment and then being taken over. So the entire area is something that the federal government is not taking any concrete action to be able to work with the communities, to hold the multinational oil companies and even the indigenous companies to account. So the system we currently have in Nigeria, whereby multinational oil companies are divesting to indigenous companies, is going to give us worse of environmental pollution than what we have had before the multinational oil companies will be leaving Nigeria.
Quite an unfortunate development. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.